Because I know I'm not streaming on Sunday. I'll stream on Monday. My next day of streaming will definitely be Monday. That I know. This will be the first Sunday I haven't streamed on in quite a while. It's been. I haven't streamed since it happened. No. So, How do we? All right. So I have thoughts, right? How do I put those thoughts into words? So overall, if I were to grade the state of play, like let's say, normal grading scale A through D, I would give it like a C. Yeah, C's fitting. There were definitely a good amount of games that they showed that had my interest. I would say a small handful. They showed off a bit that I personally am interested in. Monster Hunter Wilds looks just as good as it always has. They actually showed off some gameplay of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, which actually looks pretty interesting. Digimon Story Time Stranger is a game that I really want to play because I'm a huge fan of the Digimon Story games. Can't wait to get my hands on that. Split Fiction. They showed off some gameplay of Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny. They also showed off a little bit more of Onimusha Way of the Sword. Both of those were pleasant surprises. Dreams of Another looks really interesting. I don't know if that's something that I'm like, that I'm going to go out and buy, but it looked interesting. Tides of Annihilation was, I think, the highlight. That one looked really, really intriguing, and I want to know more about it. And they showed off Soros, which is being made by Resogun and Returnal developer Housemarque. Definitely looking forward to that one. But it was just a trailer, a teaser trailer, no real context on it. So don't get me wrong, there were definitely things there that I personally had interest in. However, a lot of the stuff they showed was things that we knew about already. And the things that we didn't really know about, they didn't have anything to really show. There were other things that were showed off. They showed off Lies of P DLC. They showed off Days Gone Remastered for the PS5 because, of course, they did. They showed off Borderlands 4, if you care about that. There's Splitgate beta coming out. There's a bunch of other things that they showed, but I don't know. We don't look at, let's say, for example, we don't look at a showcase from Sony to see third-party things. That's the same thing with everybody. We don't look for third-party games really all that much when one of the big three are showing off their own showcase. So that's Microsoft, that's Sony, that's Nintendo. And there wasn't a whole lot here that was being made or specifically published by Sony, right? Days Gone Remastered and Soros are the only two. There might have been one other. Sorry. What is it? I'll know the name when I see it. Lost Soul Aside. Lost Soul Aside was also shown off a bit. That don't have the actual release date. That comes out on the 30th of May. That's not necessarily a PlayStation Studios game, but it is being published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. So that's a thing. But that's also, once again, a game that we knew existed. Of all the games that they showed, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. There weren't very many that were new. And most of them are third party. 3, 4, because Stellar Blade is getting a DLC again. Not very many that are PlayStation exclusive, which is what we look for when we watch State of Play. That's what should be the highlights. The third party stuff should be icing on the cake. The Sony stuff should be the highlight. Doc, shut up. So yeah, I rated a C. What I will say is this, that this kind of highlights the very weird state the gaming industry is in when we're looking at the big three, for example. Sony's been very, very focused, especially because I'm gonna pretty much blame Jim Ryan on that, because that was his directive. He wanted as many live services as possible. They've been really focused on that. A lot of them got canceled recently, and so now there isn't really a whole lot that can be shown because a lot of the developers that have been working on live service games, like Bend Studio, for example, don't have anything to show. So Sony has 3 games that are theirs coming to their console. There's a joke right now that Microsoft is publishing more games on PlayStation than PlayStation is, which tells you a lot. So that's Sony's weirdness. There are a couple other things too, because Sony's been making some very strange decisions, but that's going to be like the thing that most people are going to notice. Most people will buy a PlayStation for Sony's output. They want to play their God of Wars. They want to play the Ratchet and Clanks. They want to play those games, but we're not really getting a whole lot of them right now. We kind of have to wait for it. And in the past, that lack of a show would give Microsoft a lot of ammo to work with, like in order to take attention away from Sony PlayStation. But, and to be fair, like this year for Microsoft looks like it's going to be very strong. It's definitely going to be the strongest in a very long time. In a very long time. You can't take that away from it. It's very good. Microsoft needs more wins because they haven't really been getting many. And the ones that they have gotten in the past couple of years have been like, they've all had an asterisk. But most of the games that Microsoft is showing off are multi-platform now. So while these games that Microsoft are making look good, they're not really going to be much of a reason to really focus on their hardware or their platforms, because I could just either wait to play it on a PlayStation, potentially Switch 2, or I could play them when they come out on a PlayStation, eventually Switch 2, probably, and on PC. And of course, the PC argument is a little bit different because, you know, that's a PC. I don't think PC really interacts with the console fan base, the console install base all that much, because it's almost like a different platform altogether. I don't know how else to explain it, but console and PC are separate. They're not really fighting for the same people, if that makes sense. Console are fighting for the same people. Most people, oh well, not I won't say most. A lot of people that are playing games on PC probably also have a console too, or are, you know, not to be generalizing, but our elitists will probably never own a console anyway because they already have the, you know, master race console or whatever it is, whatever. But Microsoft doesn't feel as competitive as they used to be. They've switched to a multi-platform strategy that is almost okay with just picking up the scraps, if that makes sense. Nowhere near as competitive as they were with the 360, for example. Sony is a very comfortable and very arrogant shadow of what it was for the end of PS3 to the PS4 generation. And then you have Nintendo. Nintendo's getting ready to release a follow-up to arguably their most popular console. Well, definitely their most popular console since the Wii, but arguably their most popular console. And people are upset, which is so strange to me. The biggest criticism is, oh, Switch 2 doesn't seem to be taking any risks. That's what we like about Nintendo. But it's why does that matter? And then on top of that, people weren't surprised by the Switch 2 because the Switch 2 got leaked and people ingest information so quickly. So they don't like the Switch 2 because they weren't surprised by it. And I'm just like, a stronger Switch is what people were literally asking for the longest. In fact, that conversation got very, very loud when the Xbox Series consoles and the PlayStation 5 released, because the power gap got much wider. So Nintendo provides a stronger Switch, and people don't like it. We don't need Nintendo to go back to the drawing board every generation. Yes, I understand people probably appreciate that whimsy, but regardless of, you know, how whimsical, how family friendly, how whatever adjective you put in front of Nintendo is, no matter how much of that they are, they're still a business. And yes, Nintendo has money and they're able to kind of do what they want, but maybe they want something stable for once. Nintendo's been up and down for a very long time. For every successful console, the next one or the follow-up tends to not do well. So maybe they're trying to break that trend. And then on top of that, people nowadays especially beg for backwards compatibility. If the thing that they bought can't work with the thing that came before, they're instantly upset. And once Nintendo announced that the next console that they were making was going to be backwards compatible, they did that a long time ago, that sealed the fate for what this console was. So Nintendo's literally giving people what they're asking for and they don't like it. So it's just like, you're not fighting the allegations, y'all don't know what y'all want. Nothing's good enough. Ooh, I feel like that was a hell of a segue. I don't know if that was all connected, but it felt like it was. But I don't know. So, point going back to the state of play was, I won't say underwhelming because that means I had high expectations for it, but it didn't show anything that I was really quote unquote expecting, so to speak. But it did also just confirm some things. Sony doesn't have a whole lot right now that they can show off because all of the live service stuff that we've seen them canceling was what they wanted to show. So we kind of got to wait for the stuff that we're looking for. We didn't see anything about Intergalactic because the game was probably announced very early. We heard nothing new about Ghost of Yotei, and that's supposed to be coming out later this year. There are still a lot of developers that we haven't really seen anything from. Bend, who had a game, is gone now because they canceled whatever live service they were working on. We haven't seen anything from Sony Santa Monica. We haven't seen anything from Insomniac because Wolverine was announced way back when, and we haven't seen anything about that in a while. So those are kind of the things I was expecting to get like some information on, and I didn't really get it. We did get something from Housemarque, which is not something I was expecting at all because they've been rather quiet since they released Returnal. But that was really it. I don't know. I hope that answers your question because I feel like I've been ranting for a little bit. I hope that works for you, Miles.